And so, uh, welcome to our regular Thursday night Zoom. And uh, this is February the 6th, 2020. And uh, we were just chatting as we were joining the Zoom tonight about uh, 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 inch by inch, it's a cinch. Uh, about a yard, it's hard. And some of the euphemisms that are said by Zach or Josh or Richard or myself or other leaders in the business, uh, how do you really succeed at this business? Well, you succeed by hanging around the flagpole, by inch, it's a cinch, little bitty steps, tiny baby steps every day. But that's the basic heart of my system. Uh, and if you look at my job description, look at the 2 years to learn, 3 to 5 years to build a big business. Well, that's the heart of that system. Picking up the skills, attitudes, and techniques. I don't care if a person's done network marketing before or hasn't done network marketing, or where they're at in whatever they've done in their life. You're going to have to learn different skills, different techniques. Sometimes we hear about warm with form, family, occupation, recreation, money, or uh, yeah, many people have different things for the M, but I'm going to call it money because everybody relates to money. Okay. And so, kind of learning how to have people ask you questions instead of you just initiating the question in your form of contact. Now, if you're a hermit and you don't get out to meet people, that's part of the skills and attitudes that you got to do. You got to make it a point to get out and meet people, okay? Or contact them through the telephone or through social media, but you've got to have some form of contact with an individual so that you can entertain some kind of discussion, so they can start, uh, as you are asking about their family, about what's going on in their lives, about what they're doing, how's things going, how's their plan for retirement going, where are they at, how's finances, how's the job going, how's things going, how are you liking what you're doing, are you loving life, are you traveling a lot, are you achieving the things that you wanted to in life? It's asking those questions and listening, okay, until they finally ask you a question, and you say, "Oh, by the way, you know, uh, I've, I've just, I'm building wealth. I'm accumulating wealth for the first time in my life. It is really, really neat. I've learned so much lately. Uh, in fact, they've got this little executive summary video that they put out. Would you like me to share this video with you? And you tell me what you think. I mean, I learned so much from it. Uh, uh, let's see if you learn the things I learned. I don't know, something like that. See, that's part of the whole thing of how to share, learning all the different techniques to share. And it's different with different people. Uh, and you won't learn those things unless you're failing at them. You got to fail a lot of times before you can succeed. That's just a fact of life. Well, I want to get on to some of the things because we're 3.5 years old into the company, and the company is really, by many measures, other people's measures, growing very fast. It's doubling. And that's called exponential growth. When you double your growth every year, I mean, a lot of people say that's exponential growth. Well, in normal standards, yeah, it is. But when you really consider what's happening, it started with just a few people. But did that put the company in a financial bind? No, because why? They're the most effective and efficiently run type of company. They grow at a rate that they can handle. They 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 expand at a rate that they can handle, and they hire new employees and expand based on the growth that you can actually kind of project, because it's a word of mouth business. They're not spending millions and millions on advertising. They're paying you and me for the advertising, for the expansion, and they're paying us really well. I mean, 5 on the left and 5 on the right, or 500 points on the left, 500 points on the right, and you get a $500 cycle check. I mean, that's pretty unheard of in the industry. Well, that's significant. And then when you think about that, that you can build that to a point that you can get that as starting to come in kind of regular. The main thing is to start getting it to come in regular. So let's say we get it to turn once a year. Well, when you get it to turn twice a year, you've just doubled the size of your return. And then when you get it to turn once a quarter, look at your growth. It may appear slow, but you're growing. And then when you get it to turn once every 2 months, wow. Is that going to slow down? Not necessarily. In fact, it has tons of probability of becoming once a month. And when you hit that once a month mark at that $500 cycle check, let me tell you, you're going to get to once every 2 weeks. You're going to get to once a week. And $500 a week is pretty powerful. And then just imagine if you're like Bruce Harris, that Idaho potato truck driver, when he got to that $500 a week, I mean, he had tons of volume on his left side. Chris Lattin, Danon Nelson, Jay and Colleen Lee, Diane Graver, and then the 2 new goals are on his left. Wow, just look at that kind of volume. Well, he stayed at $500 a week, and then he became a copper, and then he stayed at $1,000 a week, flipping 2 times a copper at $1,000 a week. Well, $1,000 a week, that's $52,000 a year. That's much more than he made in that truck driver. He made that for 2 years in a row without a hiccup. Wow. And then just a month or so ago, he became a bronze. And so he doubled his income. In other words, he got a pay raise from $1,000 a week to $2,000 a week. And now, he's doing meetings every week. He's doing meetings in Idaho. He's heading for that silver. And when he makes silver, he'll open up where he can make $3,500 a week. Now, what's the likelihood of his income going away or going down as he ages? The likelihood of his income is only one way: to grow and to increase. Well, that same opportunity is available to every person where you're the only person in the business in your town or in your state, because that same thing can happen to you too. And that's what I talk about. But let's say we're 3.5 years into the business, and let me tell you what to do with some of it. And now some of the people that are a little younger in the business, you're going to be able to do the same thing, and you can do it at different stages in the business. But one of the things I teach in the system of 2 years to learn, 3 to 5 years to build a big business, and your job description, meaning you got to put that 10 hours a week in. If you don't put that 10 hours a week in, there is no way you're going to succeed, because you're not developing the skills, attitudes, and techniques it takes. And so you got to have patience with yourself, and you've got to develop those skills, attitudes, and techniques. That means plugging in. That means getting on one of those conference calls like I text out today. And if you can't get on a live one, get into the recorded calls. I've sent them out on emails. I've given the codes, and you can just add numbers to those codes or add. All they do is every call, it just adds one to it for the next recorded call that's recorded. It's kind of simple system. Okay, so if you want to hear new ones, just add one, and you're going to hear a new call. But we have 5 calls that goes on at noontime every day of the week. They're live at noon Central Time, 11 Mountain Time, 1 Eastern Standard Time, and I typically participate on the Wednesday call with Richard, and I'm going to try and make it a much more of a habit where I'm participating live with Richard on that call. And today, Colleen Lee did it, and I wanted people to hear how she put together a team approach to that call. But they're always presenting the opportunity at this call through one form or another, and by hearing many different versions of how the opportunity is done, that's how you develop the skills, attitudes, and techniques in making your own contacts and presentations and what to say or how to pique somebody's interest in taking a look or making that next step. But 3.5 years, let's go to this. Okay, for those of us that's been in the business for a while, and you got people in your business, and it doesn't matter if it's on your strong side or your weak side, but you typically want to try and work your weak side where you have this capability. And this is what I tell them, and this is what I've been doing. And part of my system is I tell everybody in your list that you make, that first 500 list, yep, I don't ask you to do 500 names in the beginning, especially in that first 2 years, but I tell you at the end of 2 years, you should have 500 names and telephone numbers and emails. You should have completed that list. That's your whole homework assignment for a 2-year period. And that means you go back to when you were in grade school. Who did I go to grade school with? Who I was in 2nd grade with? Who was I in the 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade? When I lived here, who did I get? Who was our neighbors? When I went to this school, when I worked at this job, when we went to this church, when we moved here, when we moved there. All these life experiences where you've met people, worked with people, and had opportunities to meet people. Those names need to be put on that list. And every person knows at least 500 different people. That's a proven fact. And so if you're not developing that list over that 2-year period, that's the reason you're not succeeding in your business. Okay? Because you're going to wake up and you're going to be at a meeting one time and you're going to see that person on stage, and that person is going to be a goal, and you say, gee whiz, I went to school with them. I didn't remember them. I didn't put them on my list. Yeah, they got in somebody else's business because they asked them about it, and you didn't put them on your list. And that's going to happen to a lot of people. It's already happening to people, but it's going to happen more and more when every city or every state, let's say every state, starts looking like Montana in terms of the per capita people in 7K versus the population of that state. Now, that's not true outside of Montana and Idaho. But when the rest of the states get to that same per capita, then look at the growth and the size of this company. Okay, so what I teach that you will ultimately contact a person 7 times on that list. And I'm not counting when you're first trying to get people in that you love and you care about, and let's say you annoy them a little bit. And I want you to annoy them because you love and care for them. And if you believe in the opportunity, that's the right thing to do. Okay, until they at least look at the opportunity. It's one of those old things, I'm not trying to get you into the business. I'm trying to get you to take a look at what I got before you say no. That real simple thing. You know, all I'm trying to do is get you to take a look at what I got before you say no. You know, give yourself enough information to make an informed business decision. And that's the people you care and love the most. Yeah, you're going to annoy them. But see, that only counts as one contact. That's that initial contact. Okay. And a contact doesn't count as a contact until you've given them some kind of preview of the opportunity. In other words, they looked at a video or they've been to a presentation. And so eventually you're going to contact them 7 times over this 2 years to learn and then 3 to 5 years to build a big business. So that means you're going to go back to them many times. Okay. Now, why do I say that? Well, I've been going back to people. Now, I've gotten some people in the business and they hadn't done anything. You know, they just got in, and some didn't even buy the coin of the month forever. Okay. Now, a couple bought the coin of the month. They got stored up volume. Well, that's the people I've been going back to, especially when their renewal was coming up this past year. Now, most of my people start renewing from November on, and so I do it about 2 months before their renewal date comes up. And that's a good time to start making sure you're kind of, if you can, face-to-face, belly button to belly button is the best way to do this. Well, I went to quite a few people and I sat down and I said, 7K. And if they've been buying the coin of the month, they at least know that because they're getting the coin of the month. But I'm going to tell you, most of them have never even logged into their back office, except when their credit card went bad and I had to call them up and tell them how to go in and put a new card in. Okay. Or the company did it and told them to get a new card in. And so the ones that have been buying a coin of the month, they got stored up volume. And I've been to a couple of them, and we'd go and we'd sit down. And I had one person in particular joined in August of 2017, bought a coin of the month every month, faithfully. Okay. And then we went and in fact, when we did the first renewal and then kept buying the coin of the month, but they already turned a check because you know why? Because they had enough volume just with their coins of the month that they built up enough volume to turn a check, except they didn't sponsor somebody on their left, somebody on their right, except they did. Because I showed them if they would sponsor their wife and then sponsor their business or a friend or their child or whatever. It's the business family pack, one on the left, one on the right. And those pieces of property were free, and they'd get a $500 check for it. So they came out ahead and they got some more coins, and they just expanded the future business they were going to do. Now, did I meet resistance with that? Yes, until they understood that they really wasn't putting out any more money and they came out a little bit cash flow ahead. That was perfect. Okay. And not one did not do that. Now, I didn't say that they instantly saw it. Many of them I had to sit there and explain until they really understood it, because why? Most people don't believe. Okay. Now, this same person I went back to before this past month, over a month ago, and I said, okay, you renewed, you got this positions here, you still buying your coin of the month. This company has got this fabulous product. They're about to really grow. I would like for you to be able to understand what you have in your hand. Have you looked at your business in the back office? No. Well, how do I log in? So we log in, and then I pull up their go into their classic back office, and then go into genealogy, and then we see this huge organization. And I say, could you have ever built an organization like that? And the answer is obviously no. I said, well, that's your organization. And I said, you see here, with this particular person, he had $28,000 plus in the bank account. I said, you got over $28,000 in your bank account. First question he asked me is, well, how I get it out? I said, well, it's really simple. You've been buying the corn of the month, so all this activity that developed underneath you accumulated there because you were active. And then I'd show him another person, maybe below him or above him, that did not buy the corn of the month or stopped buying the corn of the month, and they lost all their points, but they're still in the business. So they're inactive and have 0 points, okay? Now, and I said, this person has that same amount, and every week then I'd show in my back office, and I'm going to show you a couple of things in my back office. So I'm going to share my screen a little bit as we talk this, because see, you've got to show your back office for people to see these things so they understand. Oh, that's the wrong thing to share. Don't want to share that one. Let me share this screen so I can get in there. There we go. Get into our back. There we go. So I'd pull in, and obviously when I'm showing mine, I show them mine after I show them theirs. And then when I show them mine, they look in here and say, man, you made $91,000 with it? I said, no, actually I've made quite a bit more than 100,000 with it, because this is just on my center. Now my wife, she's making money too, and we're only building her center right now. I quit building mine over a year ago. And they said, what? I said, yeah, that's just checks that come into mine. I'm helping my wife build hers, and we get paid 2 times. One on hers, and then I get this one on free. And they said, what? And I said, well, yeah, you know, you just got your one on the left and one on the right. Now, a person who doesn't have the one on the right and one on the left, the person's got 0 and 0, then I still explain the same concept with them when I get around to them. But what I do is I get up and I show them in their back office, they'll have over here to be basically 0 on one side. Whichever side they got developed, that side isn't going to have a lot of points on it. It's going to have nothing really there because there's no program points coming up. And I say, now look, this is what comes up every week in your business. That's from people buying that coin of the month like you are, or people renewing, or new people joining the business. That those renewals and new people joining business would be in addition to these, because these are nothing more than the coins of the month. So that means that's that many more dollars being deposited in your bank account. And so just think, if yours look like mine, just for the points of people buying coins, I make $1,000 in the first week. Every week, I'll make that. Do you think I'll make that less for the rest of my life, or do you think that business will grow? And the answer is it'd probably grow, even if I didn't do anything. Then that'd be true, because those people want to make money too. Okay, and so I make $1,000, $500, $500, $500, $500. Well, that's 1, 2, 3,000 a month, just on coins of the month. That's not new people joining. That's not renewals. Those are all extras. And I said that same thing can happen to you. So what happens is you need to initiate a business. Well, how do I do that? Well, I show them my job description now. Okay. And I said, well, let's look in, and then I give them a little tour of their back office. I show them links. I show them the training. I start giving a real basic tour about their training. Okay. And that's the real key, is that looking in here, they got a training, they got this, and then the links for their associate training. I show them those links for that. I don't show them everything because you don't have that much time, but I just give them the bits that they need to start kind of looking at. And I said, you really need to look at this stuff and evaluate for yourself, because it's going to happen with us or without us. And you got this money. You're earning money. You can be earning a residual check. And then you learn to ask the big question. What are you doing in the next year, 2 years? What are you doing now? What are you doing in the next 5 years that even gives you a remote chance of making $500 a week for the rest of your life? For the rest of your life. And the answer to that by everyone basically is nothing. And if the ones say, well, I'm investing in mutual funds and stock markets, boy, I got them there when they do that. Because all we do is we pull out what the stock market does for our history, and there ain't no way that's going to give them enough to retire on for the rest of their life. And so, this is the conversation that you want, and you want to show them that kind of genealogy. And that's exactly what I did with people in our business. And that's what you need to do with your business. It doesn't matter how big or how small, you do the same thing. Now, this young man right here, Kyle, okay, he had, as you see, he now has 45,000. Well, he lost a lot of points when he stopped buying for a while, coin of the month. But he got back on it a long time ago. And he actually had sponsored some people, got some people in, and he was one of the ones I contacted, because I didn't sponsor him. He's in the business. But I contacted Kyle, and he's over in a very small town over in Texas. And his father's in the business, and his father's down here, and his father joined because try to help his son out. Okay. And he earned a check or two when he got some people in. But if you look, these people did what? Canceled, right? And if you notice, that's Thomas' name, canceled. And I said, okay, let me help you start. Let's get to work, because you hadn't got trained. You don't know my system. He didn't know anything about my system. And so I said, well, let's contact these people first, because they were in the business. Okay. But they got out before Yim had a chance to develop. And so we got Thomas, one of them, we got back in. And he got to see the opportunity a lot bigger than what he saw. And then I said, okay, well, now let's start prospecting new people, and this is how you do it. Okay. Now he's been in the business for 3.5 years or more. Okay. Because he's above quite a few people. Okay. He's above Richard. Okay. Now, again, I didn't place him there. This is way back in the beginning. And somebody placed him there. Okay. And so we sponsored Daniel, and Daniel's 63. He's from Nebraska. And he absolutely loves this opportunity. And so now I'm walking Daniel through the training system. And so now I'm leapfrogging. And for those of you in my system understand what that means, I'm leapfrogging, and I'm working with Daniel because he's brand new. And so we're going to start working him. And as we work him, that's going to, now Kyle's already made 2 checks, 2 of the $250 checks since I contacted him. So Kyle's a little happy. Okay. And so we're also working on other people that he used to contact, but I have him doing that the right way. Okay. And so that's just an example of one. Then I'll go down and I'll work, some others. And there's others in my organization here, as I call it mine. There's Keith. We're working with Keith doing the same thing. That's his dad. And so now we're reinteresting Keith through Kyle's success. Now, this was his aunt, which canceled, but now we're reinteresting her, but she's going to go on the other side of Kyle this time instead of here because she can't come back in her position, but we get to show her what she lost. That's the key. And so Kyle's going to be doing a business, other people. So she's in the driving leg of Kyle. And that's the business. They're all going to work together, like Richard and Scott are in a business together. And their main push is to get partners with them to hook arms and start building a business together. And that's going to be the same thing with them. Same thing with Holly and Joshua. They're together. They're building a business together. And they're going to be building a line of business together. Well, this young man right here is the man that I went to talk with. Now we're setting up a weekly meeting at his business office every week to build this business this year to drop and build his leg. Now, so as we build this leg for him, he'll get paid because he's got all those funds right there, those $29,000 now. And he's got all of New Mexico underneath him, okay? And some other, some Arizona and some other pieces of business here. And as people in this line, like Kyle or Richard or Cindy or other people, need to rank up. So when they get their driving legs going, they're going to have to sponsor down here in this leg because they're going to have to get a copper on their right side. A copper means that they've got an associate on the left and an associate on the right. Well, that's the same thing that's going to happen with anybody else in the business. So, I've been doing the same thing now as I work through this. And now on my other side, my left side, I've taught George and the other people to do what I'm doing, and I'll help them. But I haven't done anything on my left side of my businesses since the first Friday night that I started this business 3.5 years ago. Now, I think somewhere up here is Pamela, and this is the business that we're building, left and right of Pamela. Okay, and this is where Holly is. And see, I've got people up in here that I've been doing the same thing with, and below Holly, this is Holly, and this is the business they're building together here. And they've got, a nice start. And we just need to keep driving and finding new partners to get into their driving leg. This is Constance, and Constance just got Dennis, and he joined the business, got a business family pack right here, Dennis Wood, and went to Miami. And so he was very serious about doing this business. And we're working in initiating his business. And then as we go down this leg here, if I can find that leg again. Sometimes I have to make it, there we go. As we go down, now this is on the left side of Holly and Constance. And as we're going down, we have this young man, Phil Freeman. Now, if you notice, he has 0 points, okay? and he's inactive. Well, he woke me up. He called me before 9 a.m. in the morning. And y'all all know that's a no-no with me. But what'd he do? He called me to do a three-way. He had a person on the line. You know why? Because I brought him into his back office and I showed him all this business that's underneath him. See, all that right there, that's all underneath him. Now he says, look, I'm making $9,000 a month in my real estate business. And I said, well, just think of these as realtors. He said, well, I don't have that many realtors in my real estate business. I said, yeah, but just think about, here he is. I said, do you think these people are going away? And then I explained to him where, you know, this is one of our new coppers right here. Went to Miami, very excited, and then got a copper below them over in Atlanta and fixing to open up Atlanta. And then, you know, we've got down here a whole new leg that we're expanding underneath Rod so he can become a bronze. And he runs his construction business right here in Gonzales, Louisiana. And so, you know, did this come about overnight? No. Inch by inch, person by person, inch by inch. Even Rod, I remember Rod, you know, when he came in, he got started. It took him 4 months before he earned his first check, maybe 5. And he just said, man, this doesn't work. And, you know, he's used to making the big bucks in construction. You get a job. Well, now he's a copper, and he says, man, this is unbelievable. Okay, well, he's learning how to do the business, just like everybody has to learn how to do the business. And he's accustomed to going out and getting clients, because if he doesn't get clients, his construction business dies. Okay, and so he's starting to understand leverage. He's starting to understand building, and Mr. Phil is really understanding it, and he's getting active. He set up his auto ship. He start buying, because I showed him all the points that's coming up every week, and he'd be accumulating dollars in his bank account. So as he starts building, it's going to make him a lot easier to make the check, because see, that's when I showed him my back office again and said, now look, I've still got $78,000 in the bank on my left side. So here I'm building with my wife another center underneath that, and we're getting income off that. And until my right side gets equal and I draw out all this money, I'm not going to work that left side again. I'll support it. I'll whelp it. I'll do everything I can over there, but I'm not going to sponsor and work that business. I'll teach people how to do it. I'll help people how to do it, and I'll help them with their people. But I can't put time over there unless we have a new person. We bring in a new person, I don't care who it is, and they bring in a new person, I'm willing to help that new person get started and get started right, because that's going to be a future gold, copper, silver, bronze that'll perpetuate that leg for the rest of my life. And that's the way we all should be looking at the business. Okay, now, so what I mean, you go to people, and I go to these people that I'm going to show you some of them that I'm going to, that got out. In other words, they're canceled positions. Now, we've done this already with quite a few people that I've worked with down this leg. And when I do that with canceled positions, I start from the bottom and work up. Okay? Because why? Well, you know, sometimes there's truth it's hard to revive the dead. Okay. But in this business, if you do it right, you have a higher probability of doing it. And so it's that doing it right with the right skills and attitudes. And I typically do this with the individual. So I start way down here at the bottom of people who became inactive, totally active, totally inactive. And I started in the New Mexico group, and we were able to revive more than 80% of them. And in fact, we got a couple of people, and like in on my left side where I've taught George how to do this and other people, we've got some people, they're excited about this now, and they're ready to build because they had no concept of the business that was built underneath them. And that's what's happening. And so this is part of how you go back to people 7 times. Now, will we go back to these people again that say no again? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Even if they got a canceled position, we go back and say, it's time to get in now because I'm opening up this leg. I'm building this leg. I'm driving this leg. Do you want to be here as I build this leg? Okay. That's what I'm doing with the inside of Pam's leg. Okay. Because see, until I catch at one time, when I first started getting Holly and Constance and people in the business here under Pam, at one time I got even with the volume on her right side. We actually even, so I had to go back and work on the right side again. Okay. But now, since I concentrated so much on the right side of Pam and reinitiating the business, now the right side's got built up money in the bank. So which side do you think I'm most interested in working with right now? This side, and developing this leg a lot more. I'm interested in anybody that's willing to work, that wants to talk to people, that wants to put people on the phone, that wants to work. I'm willing to spend as much time in a business as they are with those people and get their people started out in the business properly, because I get paid real well for that. They will get paid and I will too. And so I'm not wasting my time or their new people's time. We're all doing something very efficiently together. Remember, we're not in business by ourselves. We're in business for ourselves, but we're not in business by ourselves. We got partners all over the place. And if we do the business the way I train it and build it and work with it and learn it, we'll all duplicate, we'll all have a sustained residual income for the rest of our lives as this company becomes a multi-billion-dollar company. So learn how to use your back office, learn how to show your back office even to your prospects, and most assuredly to everybody you ever talked about being in the business. Because see, when I go back to some people that told me no or didn't really look, or they looked at a video and then said they didn't want to have anything to do with it or don't bother me anymore, I go back and I show each one of them where they could have been. And I say, now it's time to join me. Okay? And that's what you should do. The same thing that I do. Well, that's our training for tonight. We're going to talk about some general subjects for the rest of this, and I'm not going to record that because I want to have an interactive conversation with the group. But I hope you all learn a lot from some of the terms that I used here. And even if you're new to our 7K business and our success team and group, you will come to learn what they mean. Leapfrogging, concentrating on building, driving legs, piquing people's interest, warming with form. Those are the things you need to learn. That's how you build the skills, attitudes, and techniques. And remember, always hang around the flagpole. Get involved in the business. thank you for your time and attention. And I'll see you on the beaches of the world as we all learn and live a lifestyle powered by silver and gold through 7K. Okay, everybody. We're going to unmute. Okay. I don't want any discussion. Anybody wants to have any discussion or any questions, you know, feel free to ask any questions. But, you know, I don't know how many of you, I want to just share something about the Liberty coin that we have coming up. That's real art. That's got so many firsts in this coin that it's unbelievable. And I hope each one of you've gotten one or two, because it's so worth it. I bought 10 of each. I mean, that's how convinced I am about the value of this coin. Now, you know, like our Idaho coin, you know, you can't hardly find anybody that wants to sell them. And we got new people coming in, they're wanting to buy them because they know to get their 50-state collection, they're going to have to pay a ton more later for them. And I just have a hard time finding people to sell them at $119 each. And they only paid $95 for them. What a business. What a business. You to keep your doors open in your business every month instead of paying electricity bills, you got a product that you get all your money back. Unbelievable. You're building wealth. So we're building wealth and accumulating wealth as we're learning how to do this business together. And if y'all aren't plugged in and ready to go to Salt Lake, you're cheating yourself of really, you know, that event in Salt Lake City is going to be the biggest event ever in this company, because of what's going to be unfolded in Salt Lake and what you're going to be able to see about the magnitude of the opportunity that you actually have in your hands. And the way to be there is that, you know, bring at minimum 2 people with you. And that's the thing, is make a commitment to get there, make a commitment that you're going to have 2 people with you. And hopefully, you know, two committed people that are ready to really look and work this business with you. And you're going to come out of that making money with your business and growing your business. My time's your time. How y'all doing tonight?
Good.
Doing great.
Any questions about anything? And it doesn't have to be what I talked about. It'd be anything y'all want to talk about. Anything you have a question about. Okay. In that case, I've got on Thursday nights, I actually have 2 Zoom meetings. Okay, because I got our New Mexico, they're on Mountain Standard Time. So I joined their Zoom meeting with some extra training after they do their Wealth Strategies meeting. And I joined them a little later after we complete ours. So if y'all don't have anything more, I'm gonna say good night and thank y'all for being with me. And I look forward to seeing y'all next Thursday night. And I hope this helps you in building your businesses, because
You
each
did a great job.
be delivering new information for you. Okay. So good night, all.
Thanks,
And
Bob.
Good
I'll see
night.
y'all later.